On this episode, I have the CEO of Goodmans Interior Structures joining me. Adam Goodman is a phenomenal leader here in the local community, and he offers some really interesting insight as far as conscious capitalism and what it takes to build a thriving culture. On today's episode, I have Adam Goodman joining me today. Adam is the CEO of Goodman's Interior Furniture, and I'm so excited for him to share with all of us a little bit more about what's happening in the conscious capitalism space.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So, Adam, conscious capitalism is a term that more and more people are becoming familiar with, but would you just mind explaining to those that don't know what it is, maybe further defining it?
There's a giant book that I can refer you to that gives you everything, but I'll distill it down to two really basic elements. One is it's about thinking about the long term instead of the short term. So instead of thinking about day to day, week to week, quarter to quarter, it's about thinking about months and years and even decades and thinking of that kind of time frame. And two, it's about thinking about all your stakeholders and not just the shareholder as the only stakeholder. So it's considering the larger community, your employees, your suppliers, your customers, the planet Earth, whatever you declare are your stakeholders, beyond just the shareholders.
So as a local leader, I mean, it's very evident that you do embody that, and your family has continued to pass along this tradition of that. So how are you implementing this mindset within Goodmans?
Well, thanks for the "as a local leader" comment. I kind of got stopped there. I was listening to that and like, oh, that's a nice thing to say. So at Goodman's, we declared that our stakeholders are certainly the owners. So we're here to make a profit. Make no mistake about that. But it's also our employees, and it's also the community, and it's also the environment. And we have invested in a whole bunch of different ways. So when we make decisions as a leadership team, we are thinking beyond just what the shareholders are, what's in the best interest. So here's an example for you. The way office furniture works is that when we go and deliver you this beautiful chair, right? We come and give you the chair, and then you say, "Oh, thanks. Hey, could you get the old stuff out of here? Would you mind just taking that away?" And the way the whole industry works around the planet is we take that old chair and we just sell it to some other dude for a 100% profit margin because we got nothing in. That's the dirty little secret of the game. And if your whole purpose is to create wealth for your shareholders, well, this makes a lot of sense. But because our purpose is also for the community, we take that chair, we put it in our warehouse, and we make it available to nonprofits. And every single day, and I really mean every single day, we have nonprofits coming in to select conference rooms and lobbies and private offices, whatever it is they need. They can haul it away for free, or they can pay us to make a delivery. We repurpose millions of dollars of furniture per year to nonprofits, hundreds of different nonprofits. Pretty cool.
And I know that's true. So I work with a number of different nonprofits, and I'm actually the co-chair of the St. Vincent de Paul Vinny's board, and I know you've been in conversation with them.
Absolutely.
So really appreciate your commitment and partnership in that aspect, because so many nonprofits have huge dreams and aspirations, and they're always constantly looking to raise capital. But if they have to spend extra money on furniture and stuff, that takes away from their overall mission. So
100%. We want them to take their funds and their resources and put it toward the mission and not worry about the furniture.
I think that's great. So as far as other than giving back via furniture to the community, I know that you're also very philanthropically involved. Would you mind just sharing a little bit more about what you do in that space?
Geez, I don't want to. I mean, yeah, we support a lot of organizations where we get moved easily, and so we want to be able to help other people out. You want me to name names? I can see it in your eyes, but I'm not going to do it.
There's so many great ones here.
There's so many great ones, yes, and those are the ones. Only the great ones are the ones we support, and that's a part of who we are. And it's about mobilizing our employees to be able to get involved in things and supporting them. We do. If an employee gets involved in a leadership position with a nonprofit, we will support that organization for every little silent auction and gala and whatever those things are, because we want our people. The way we look at it is we want people to feel like a sense of purpose coming to work at Goodman's, that they are making an impact of something larger than themselves. And so the furniture is just what we do every day, but really making an impact is why we're here. So if someone raises their hand and says they want to get involved, we're going to support them as far as we can.
I think as a leader, you've done a really wonderful job as far as creating a strong company culture and one that's easily identifiable in the community. So people often associate you and your brand and Goodmans as having a wonderful culture. As a leader, can you share with other entrepreneurs, business owners, executives on what you think it takes to build an amazing winning culture?
So here's what I've noticed about your question pattern. You give a really nice compliment, and I got all hung up thinking about that. Like, oh, that's such a nice thing to say. And then you hit the question, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my turn to talk. So thank you for that nice compliment. I look forward to more questions from you. Look, it's human beings, right? These are people who have we don't own our people, right? They're families. They belong to their families. And so they have stressful home lives and spouses and kids and finances and all the stuff that goes on. And then they come into the office and it's, I appreciate what you said about the culture, but it's a stressful job as well, and deadlines, and we got all the other pressures that people have to deal with. And the way the leadership team, think about our employees, and this is the key, is that it's our responsibility to return them back to their families in better condition than when we got them in the morning. And you take just that little phrase, and you really think deeply about what that means to return someone back to their family in better condition than when they came in the door in the morning. And that informs a whole bunch of things around physical wellness and emotional wellness, and it requires us to do a lot of listening. My favorite quote is the most powerful human experience is to be heard, and I think that's really true. And so we work hard to listen. I'll start next month in September. Every year, I take a group of 6 to 8 employees at a time to lunch at True Food, as it happens, my favorite spot. It's just me with 6 to 8 employees, no managers, and I go through every single employee in the company. So there's 160 employees. That's a lot of lunches, and the agenda is I'll usually have 1 or 2 questions of things I'm curious to know about. But then otherwise it's wide open, and we can talk about anything. And I'll take notes, but I don't write names of who said what. It's not about that. I don't want any retribution or anything unless they ask me to do something. And I'm collecting all this information on what's really happening in the company and where we can improve. And you can look each year. You can see the things, and then I give a report about here's what I heard in the aggregate, right? So I'm looking for trends and common answers, and I'll report out to everybody. I heard these things clearly, and here's what we're doing about them. So it's a way to hold me accountable to the people.
And do you feel like your people are honest and transparent when you're asking them face to face?
Oh, I mean, boy, they're not holding back. I can tell you that. Now, I'm sure some people are. I'm sure, there's certainly new people are a little bit, skittish, but they quickly get a sense from the people who've been around long enough that, no, it's okay to speak out, and Adam really does want to hear it, and there's not going to be retribution. And you can tell me your manager's a jerk or whatever it is you want to be, and nothing's going to happen to you, and we're just going to work on fixing things for you.
And that speaks volumes about the culture that you're building, because if your team members have that level of trust to be able to share and be vulnerable in that situation, I think that's really awesome.
It's thank you, compliment. It's about me showing vulnerability as well. So I take a lot of opportunities to let people know where my own insecurities are, or my own what I'm not good at. I'm pretty wide open about all those kinds of things, and I want people to feel comfortable. An employee gave me a great compliment about what it's like to work at Goodmans, and what she said was, it's the first job I feel like where I can be my true self here, and I don't have to put on airs, I don't have to play games, I don't have to impress this one or kiss up to this one. I could just be who I am, and that's like, that's what I'm trying to get here.
Yeah, a lot of organizations, they see the value in reaching out to their employees and getting their feedback. So some have taken the step as far as sending out that employee survey, but I feel like very few actually follow through. So they'll get all that data, and where they miss the opportunity is actually acting on what their employees are sharing. So they'll do it once employees are very vulnerable and open and transparent. They'll share that information, and then they don't do anything about it. So then the second time they send it out, nobody really participates because they don't feel like their voice is being heard. So the fact that you've been able to build something, you're acting on it, and that people are still willing to be that vulnerable in those face-to-face conversations, I think is really impressive.
Thanks.
So as organizations are, looking to increase, collaboration and communication, what are some winning strategies that work for you as far as team building or building that level of trust amongst other, colleagues and coworkers?
We just did an interesting exercise with our leadership team. For example, it's the first thing that comes to mind. I'll share it with you. We did a life walk with each other, and a life walk is one at a time. We get up and tell the story of our life. Everybody's sitting in a circle, and I stand up and I take a step and I talk about milestones in my life at as early as I can remember. Age 3, and this happened to me. Age 6, and this happened to me. Parents got divorced. Whatever the case may be, it is always super emotional. And here's a leadership team that most of us, we've been working together for 5 to 25 years, really, and things we didn't know about each other, and that took us just to a whole nother level of depth. That was really quite impactful, and it's been really helpful for us. Beyond that, look, trust is built through relationships. Relationships are built through socializing. So it is no accident that we have beer on draft in our office, and that's not to be cute. That's to foster relationships, to have people sit around after work and have a beer, or in the morning it might be bagels. That works almost as effectively as beer. But any chance we have to find ways that people can build those personal connections are going to help on the business side as well. We do a lot of personal development work for people as well, and this is bringing in outside people to help upskill our people in interpersonal relationship skills that really, frankly, have more application at home than they do in the office, perhaps. But that's okay, right? We're making them a better whole person.
What happens at home comes to the office and vice versa. So it's great that you're approaching it.
Remember our responsibility to return them back to their families in better condition than we got them. So that's part of what we're doing. We want to help them get better. That's
wonderful. So right now, the market is incredibly busy. We have a lot of great companies that continue to enter our community, and businesses are thriving. The market's good. So competition is relatively fierce, right, when it comes to attracting and retaining top talent.
Yeah.
What would you suggest companies or business leaders look at in order to retain the top talent?
You say these things and you don't knock wood. I think you're just jinxing the whole thing.
Why do you say that?
Because you just gotta, my goodness, you can't just say stuff like that and throw it out there and
Well, I know you guys
there's evil eyes and, don't you believe in the gods, how they work?
I do. I guess I should be more aware
of real estate gods. My goodness. So I believe that we have a very strong sense of purpose, as you can gather, and our purpose is very specifically about making an impact on the community, and that's out there, and we don't market it. We don't market it to attract customers. That's not really doesn't feel right, and it frankly doesn't work. I like to say that our customers care about our purpose as long as we're the low bid. If we're not the low bid, they don't seem to care as much. So instead, we're doing it to talk to future employees, to prospective employees. That and I'm telling you, frankly, we don't have the attraction problems that a lot of my peers talk about that they have. I probably personally get almost every single month, I get an email that follows the same sort of script, which is, look, Mr. Goodman, you don't know me. I don't know you. I don't know. I'm not from your industry. I don't know what jobs you have open. All I know is I've read about your company. I love what you do. I want to make an impact. What skills do I have that can apply at Goodmans? And that's really cool to get those. And we often are able to find, take some things. We can try you here and put you in here. And I believe that having people who are aligned to a common purpose is way more powerful than just having somebody who knows office furniture, for goodness sakes. Like I can teach you office furniture, but be able to be on that same page and aligned, that's powerful.
So for those listening, if they're looking for a new opportunity, do you have any open positions?
Sure. Which camera do you want to look at? Call me. Yeah.
Oh, good. So as you have continued to grow your business and you've been more involved in the community, I mean, I think you've done a great job as far as sharing your story and your passions, and I think that certainly has helped with your overall attraction and retention. What strategies are you utilizing, social media or award ceremonies or anything along those lines, in order to continue to share your brand?
So we think about our employment brand very differently than our customer attraction brand, and we spend probably more energy on the employment brand. And so the awards and the podcasts and all those kinds of things are really where we're looking to be found by prospective employees. It's really we spend more energy on attracting talent through those kinds of marketing efforts than we do on attracting customers. Now that I say that, is that backwards? Am I doing that wrong? Maybe I shouldn't be doing it that way.
I don't think that's okay? I think that's actually really phenomenal. I mean, I think you want to, by having the right brand in the community, people want to work with people that they like or that they're attracted to. So I think it's really awesome that you guys are doing it for all the right reasons. And I think business is following.
Okay, good.
Not that you need my approval. I think you've been doing it great for a long time.
Validation is all I'm looking for. Thank you.
I'm curious, what is on your must-read list?
What is on my must-read? Like the stack on my... I don't have the stack. I use a ebook thing, and so I miss not seeing that stack all the time. But I've just picked up something that's super fascinating to me. It won't be interesting to you or to your listeners, viewers, but it's about America's history as an empire, really, and this narrative that we tell ourselves about. Well, we're not an empire. That was, all these other countries through history were empires, but not us. And the 48 contiguous United States plus the other two, which is names I can't even remember those other two states. That's the country. Well, no, it turns out we've got a very aggressive history of being an empire, and it's to me it's a really interesting story about narratives that you tell yourself and how that creates reality for you. And here's a guy saying it's all bullshit. That's not who we are, and I'm fascinated by that. If you're looking for business books and things like that I'm pursuing, there's nothing on my must read. I do read them, but I don't lurch too hard from one to the other. We're pretty impacted by an old Lencioni book, The Advantage, that is guiding us at the moment. I'm taking a nonprofit tomorrow we're having our annual retreat for our nonprofit, and I'm leading them through the Lencioni Advantage process tomorrow. So it's fresh on my mind at the moment.
So if you were to talk to an individual that's just starting in their professional career, what advice would you give to them as they look to navigate life and business?
It's about understanding your purpose. Flat out, 100%, straight up, understand your purpose. Be really clear on what you're about, what excites you, what motivates you. My story is I wanted to be a newspaper publisher. My purpose was about making an impact in a democracy by informing. And I am still to this day quite moved by the power newspapers have to set an agenda, even as everybody jokes about newspapers and they're crumbling and all those things. And you like this week, the Republic had some fantastic stories that would not have seen the light of day if it wasn't been for excellent journalism. However, it just so happens that I was born into a family that has an office furniture empire, to use that word, but tongue-in-cheek. And so I came back into the family business, learned the business, and was good at the mechanics of this business, but realized I was missing something, that I wasn't fulfilling my own purpose, that getting out of bed in the morning to go sell more conference tables and file cabinets was not fulfilling. And so I was in the fortunate enough position as the owner of the company to be able to pivot the whole purpose of the company to align. That's really what this is all about. It's pivoting the whole company to align to what my personal interest is. So I feel like getting up in the morning and coming to work and get inspired every day. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't. It just doesn't interest me otherwise. So that's my advice: know your purpose and align with a company that aligns with your purpose.
I think one thing that's worked well for me, like in my 20s, I had a hard time identifying exactly what I wanted, but I think I did a better job figuring out what I didn't want. And so now in my 30s, I'm a little bit more clear and purposeful.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I would look to role models or different figures within the community about what I really liked about them, what they embodied, and what I would like to become more like. So I'm curious, do you have any role models or people that you've looked up to throughout the course of your career?
Yes, I do. What's your purpose? I mean, I'm curious about your purpose. Let's do that for a little bit.
Sure.
You
yeah.
seem like a purpose-driven individual.
I am. Yeah, very much so. So AZ BizLink has really been one of my big purposes because I'm very passionate about connecting people with the resources that they need in order to set them up for personal and professional success. So I get so much energy off of just doing that, and that ties into my philanthropic purpose as well. So anything that I can do to connect to that, I feel very passionate about that.
Okay, that's good. And so you may or may not be able to get it in your day-to-day job, or even if you are, this is just a further expression of that.
Absolutely.
Of that purpose.
Well, and I think something else I'll share with other professionals, a lot of us have jobs that we have to do to pay our bills, but there is opportunity for us to continue to further that passion. So identifying what that is in order to make the other part of your business feel that much more fulfilling, I think is important to identify.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Back to me.
Yes.
That was interesting, though. So it's funny you asked this question because I only recently told my role model, hey, I got to talk to you. I got to tell you, you're my role model. So it would have been very embarrassing if I hadn't had that conversation and you're asking me this. But now that he knows and I can tell you and I can share this, John Graham. I admire that guy so much, and I don't really know him particularly well. In fact, when I asked him to lunch to tell him that he's my role model, it was really the first time we've sat down to have lunch. But I so much respect the way he's engaged himself in the community, and he touches the community in so many different ways with such heart and purpose that it's really so inspiring. And so I gave him that. I just dropped that on him.
I think that's wonderful. And I think kudos to you for actually sharing that with him. And I'm sure he very much so appreciated that.
He definitely did. It was very nice.
I'm guessing it's probably not the first person that's ever said that to him because he is a remarkable leader here in the local community.
He acted like it was the first time he's ever heard it, but I don't believe it. I think he's probably heard it before.
He's very kind and gracious.
Yes, indeed.
So as you're looking to develop leaders within your organization, you talked about providing roadmaps or helping them to kind of think through how you can help to elevate them within your given organization and also outside in the community. How specifically are you doing that, and what would you encourage other companies to continue to do or
have the conversation for sure? What are your ambitions? What is it you want to do? We have that. Let me back up and tell you a little bit something else we do. We don't really talk about this outside the company, so.
Uh-oh, you're sharing your top secrets?
Just don't tell anybody.
Okay.
If we can just keep this to ourselves. Twice a year, we look at everybody in the company and evaluate them in terms of two matrices. In terms of their potential to grow, and that's how much are they looking to learn new skills and grow. And then also their performance. How good are they at their job? And we force rank everybody. So a third of the people are low performance, low potential. A third are high performance, and a third are medium. And we superimpose those on top of each other, so it creates 9 boxes. All the way in the upper right is high performance, high potential, and low performance, low potential. We number the boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the 7, 8, 9s are the high performance, high potential, and I will do anything for these people. We're really clear about who they are, and we make sure we're having that conversation with the 7, 8, 9s about. They don't know their number, by the way. We don't really, like I said, we don't really talk about this. And, I never want them to leave the company for anything other than just like a crazy paycheck that someone's throwing at them. But I never want them to feel like they've stagnated, they don't have opportunities. And that sometimes means taking them out of a position they're really good at and putting them into a position that they're not so good at. That's going to take some time, but that's okay. It's a small price to pay. We're happy to have that instead of them feeling like they got to go somewhere else. The interesting thing about this whole matrix is it shifts and moves, right? So some people get better, some people get not as better, the opposite of better.
Sure.
Worse, I guess is the word. There's some other nuances to it as well. Someone who may be a high performer with low potential is fantastic. We love that person. They don't want to do anything else. They don't want to go anywhere else. They just like what they're doing. And we're aware of it, and we can have the conversation about it, and it takes the pressure off of, whatever we might be there if it was unspoken. But the 789s get a lot of energy and attention and investment for sure.
Do you utilize like DISC assessments or performance indexes to measure your employees?
No. Yes and no. So when we're doing leadership development for people, we'll put them through a cohort to upskill, and DISC and Colby and those kinds of things are all part of that. But in terms of the general population, we actually don't use those indexes to, for communication purposes or anything like that. Are you saying we should?
I'm not saying
Are you
anything.
judging? I feel
No,
like
not
you're
at all.
judging.
I think everybody has different strategies that work really well for them. So I just like to pick everyone's brain on what's been a winning strategy for you. Because some are really into the data and that kind of information. And sometimes it's more about the emotional intelligence as well.
All right. I appreciate that. I feel like that's, it just doesn't feel right to me but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, I think you're doing a lot of things right. So, with helping those leaders to advance themselves within the organization and outside the organization, I think that helps them to be drawn into the overall mission of the organization. That probably helps with your retention.
Check.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with retention, one thing that we talked about actually at one of my events earlier this week was, with retention, if you can find your top performers, you identify who those individuals are, you can actually go and have a conversation with them and say, hey, what do I need to do to keep you here? And by having those conversations at the very onset, I think is that much more impactful and beneficial, because consequently what's happening is some individuals feel like they have to leave the organization in order to feel fulfilled in a certain category. So they're having exit interviews, and during the exit interviews, they find out all this information
all the juicy information that would have kept you here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's really wonderful how you've been able to do that early on.
I'm pretty even-tempered. I don't lose my cool very often. I go insane when a 7, 8, or 9 is leaving for anything. Like I said, anything other than someone's writing a big check to have them come by. Like, that's congratulations, good for you. That's terrific. But if it's about opportunity or growth, that's shame on us. That's our job, is to finding. And it's such a trap. It's such a trap. You're good at your job. I don't want you to do this other job, because who's going to replace you in this job? We just did it. We have someone who's so great, and it's a really hard job that's got inputs coming from all over the company. And he said, I'd like to grow. I'd like to grow into that job there. And we're like, oh man, is it going to be hard to? Okay. And I think this week, he started this week in his new job, and we may take a step backwards in his old job, but that's okay. We'd rather have him stay with us and grow with us. Consequently, you look around the company and you see all these great stories of people who've started in entry jobs and moved. Our COO is started as a customer service rep, and boom, 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 managing our design team. She's not a designer. Managing our operations group. She wasn't a installation technician or anything like that, and now she's COO of the company. So that's the way we like doing things.
So being from the Valley, you've seen the Valley transform quite a bit. I mean, I've only been out here 12 years, and I think it's changed immensely. So what do you think has been changed the most, probably within the last 5 to 10 years?
Oh my gosh. What has changed the most in the last 5 to 10 years?
Yes.
I don't know. Give me some good. I don't know. It's so much.
Yeah, I think just watching the number of companies that continue to move into the
Yeah.
Valley, I think has been really impressive. And previously, we didn't have a ton of corporate headquarters or regional headquarters here in town. So
God bless our economic development people.
I do love seeing that. But I think one thing that makes our community really awesome is the fact that so many individuals and business owners and leaders are willing to collaborate. So do you often meet with other business leaders or executives? Can you maybe share kind of your insight or how that's impacted you throughout your career?
Yeah, I'm in a couple different CEO groups that encourage getting very vulnerable and being very transparent about what you're struggling with and what you're wrestling with, and being surrounded by other CEOs who know first of all me and my strengths and weaknesses. They're really clear about that, and so they're able to give me support and advice on things that it's not just conventional business wisdom. Well, this is what you should do, because they know that that's not my style, that's not what I value, or things like that. So they're able to help, and furthermore held up a mirror to me to say, here's where you're not living your values. Here's where you are falling down, and we know you can do this because you've done this before. A lot of that kind of thing. So that support has been really quite valuable to me.
I would love to learn a little bit more about your experience going through Valley Leadership.
I'm a huge fan of the Valley Leadership. I get told a lot, aren't you a little old for Valley Leadership? And, well, maybe. Maybe, I guess so.
Age is just a number.
Thank you. Age is just a number. And I was like the fifth oldest person in my class. So talk to them, those four other people. There's so many things I really appreciated about the experience. It was just 2 years ago, and first of all, meeting some really sensational people that I never would have had the opportunity to meet before. It was really, really powerful to me. Can I plug my socks?
Of course.
Is this a good time to plug my socks? So camera 2, can you see my socks? So these are mismatched socks from Voice Threads, VOYCE, Voice Threads. My classmate Drew Shaw developed this company, and he finds nonprofits in town that inspire him. He does a design of mismatched socks that represent that nonprofit, and then he puts them up for sale, and a portion of proceeds go back to that nonprofit.
I'm interested in sharing it, definitely with all of my friends in the community as we're looking to give out holiday gifts or client appreciation gifts. I think these socks are really awesome.
Fantastic. And I was really, he can tell you, I'm a pretty conservative dresser, despite the wild patterns I've got going on here today. But I was really my socks are gray and blue and black, and that's it. I think there's one brown, but I got to look for it. And so to be able to have the confidence to put these on and not feel completely ridiculous took some time.
But the story behind the socks totally aligns with who you are and what you believe in. So
that's why I feel so good. So Valley Leadership introduced me to people, really sensational people that that's really fun for me to watch their careers and to be able to help them wherever I can. And that's been exciting. And then, of course, the program itself and what you learn about the community. So as you pointed out, I'm born and raised here. I thought I knew the town pretty well, and I learned so much about everything from healthcare to education to transportation to water, environmental, everything, on and on and on, that I just don't know that I would have had that opportunity any other way.
I know we're running a little short on time, but I've
got all the time in the world.
But I do want you to share a little bit more about what your Valley Leadership Group was able to create collectively. Well,
thanks for asking.
Yeah.
So part of the Valley Leadership process is you create a project, and our group created a something called DoGooders. And DoGooders is taking the for-profit community and shining a light on the great work being done in the nonprofit community. So we go out and we recruit so far about 20 different for-profit companies. Each one of these for-profit companies nominates one person in the nonprofit community that inspires them. So it's the receptionist at the YMCA, and every time I walk in, she's terrific and greets everybody with a smile. And the for-profit company gives that person a gift, and the gift doesn't matter what it is. It's usually just dinner for two. We're Goodmans. We're giving chairs away, but we got chairs. That's fine. So we go on the website and we say, here's why this person so fantastic inspires us. They receive their gift. They take a picture themselves with their gift, their chair, their dinner for two, and now they get to go on the website and find someone that inspires them in the nonprofit community. And they go and type in, well, I like the security guard at Phoenix Children's Hospital because of how he greets the children. And so now we'll send him a gift. And then he goes and finds somebody. And what we're hoping to create with these 20 companies, hopefully 30, we're recruiting for more companies. So thanks for asking. You can definitely join. Is that all these threads kind of weaving their way through the city of this fabulous work being done. So we've run we've done 4 or 5 so far, and we're just getting exposed to these nonprofits we had no idea existed. And there's a whole social media campaign that goes on along with it. It's all very exciting. What's that website? Is that what you're going to ask?
Yes, please.
DoGoodersAZ.com. DoGoodersAZ.com. That number again. DoGoodersAZ.com. Join. Please join us.
No, I love the mission behind it. And I had to laugh once I got on the website. I did see some people that I already knew in the community. So as a group, I know with Corporate America, we're all trying to find different ways to connect with the nonprofit community here in town. So even just looking at that website, I think they would get insight on some other great organizations to potentially engage in conversations with.
That's the hope. We're getting people to meet each other. And what I'm really excited about is when the threads, the streams start crisscrossing and someone gets a second gift from somebody else, and that's going to be really cool too. Watch how that happens.
Absolutely. Adam, thank you so much for joining me today.
Lindsay, what a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me here.